Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Lockdown 23-1. Today, we're going to be jumping back into a state penitentiary to hear from some lifers and individuals that's on death row. It's always wild to hear what's on these guys' minds, especially the ones on death row, man, because they know that due date's getting closer and closer, man. I can't even imagine. But if you enjoy this type of content, hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out the playlist with 1,400 videos for you to start watching today. We're going to start off with John here. He's a barber doing life. And it's pretty wild to see that this guy cuts hair for the staff. Every time I see guys cutting hair for the staff, it makes me think.
So John, I've been coming for about 7 years. He was living in my cell house, so when I came in, it was just kind of a normal face to see. So I sat down, and he's been cutting my hair ever since.
The lieutenant is an ex-Marine, so he likes it high and tight. But I was kind of put in check by a certain person in his life that doesn't like it real high and tight. She likes it a little bit faded, so I take care of what his wife wants. He has a very lovely wife.
Look at this barber suit, man. This thing is official. It's like a Catholic barber suit. This thing is nice.
Take care of it. Be careful.
What if that lifer woke up with a bad taste in his mouth that day and just decided to start slicing some stuff up? If you're a guard, I think you should think a little differently. But listen to this. Right before the LT gets up, the lifer says something that you probably wouldn't hear from most inmates. He tells the guard to be safe. Man, it's almost like this guy doesn't even deserve to be in prison.
Take care of it. Be careful.
Now, after a long day at the shop, John's about to show him where he retires to for the night. It's actually one of the best cell blocks that you could be in for the people that probably behave well in prison and have particular jobs. The only thing that they're going to be sacrificing, though, is a cell. Their privacy. In these dorm-like structures, you really have hardly any. For all the people that say, hey man, there's no way you had a pool table in the prison you were in. Well, there's one right here, and this dude's doing life, so this is definitely a medium security prison. But this is pretty much the exact same pool table that we had in the prison. It looked like the pool table that you would see in a bar. The pool balls and the sticks, you usually have to fill out a little form and get it from the CO in the booth. And if anything happens to them, then you're going to be held responsible for it. As well as horseshoes, man. You would think people get killed left and right with some horseshoes, but they're still around in some prisons. Luckily, I was able to witness that before they took them away in Virginia, but horseshoes is one of my favorite games to play. I loved it so much that when I came home and bought my first house that I made a horseshoe pit in the backyard, but I didn't have nobody to play with. I realized that games are not that much fun unless you have someone playing with you.
Oh no, there's plenty of privacy. You have this wall here, and this wall here. I mean, when you realize that man, whatever he does, or that man or anybody else, has nothing to do with me, and I don't want to have anything to do with them. So this is my cell, this is my cube, this is my life, and that's all I need.
He looks like a war general from the Confederate Army.
I just happened to commit this one murder. That's it. That's the only time I've been in trouble. There was a gentleman that I grew up with, and he knew another guy. Well, being that I was a dope fiend, this man presented pictures of my mother, my father, and my brother. My mother in the yard with her chihuahuas, my father coming out of the ice machine, and my brother getting out of his car in our driveway. And he said, as easy as it is to take these pictures of your family, that's how easy it is to kill. I can kill these people, and that was my family. And I lost it. I don't know where I went, but I lost it. And he says, this is what I want done, and I took the lives of 2 people. Because he was trying to take over the tickets, lottery tickets within Gary. And I didn't know any better. And when I thought he was a big time hoodlum. and I was scared. I was scared more for my family than I was my life. Yes, there was a pay, but it was minimal. I can't remember if it was $700 or $800. It was no money whatsoever. But I was just satisfied that nothing was going to happen to my family.
I don't know about this guy's story. Something ain't adding up. First and foremost, look at the disco ball in the back. Man, these guys are getting it in. I hate to see it when the lights go out. Turn that puppy on. There's cheeks clapping everywhere. Anyways, I don't believe this guy's story. He says that someone threatened to kill his family if he don't kill someone else. Usually when people threaten to do something like that, they ain't gonna offer you any kind of cash to go with it. They're just gonna use the fear of your family being killed to get you to do it. At least if you were to ask me, so, and then he couldn't even remember the amount that the guy was trying to give him. Come on, a situation like that in life, you're gonna remember every last second of it. I mean, you killed 2 people, but then again, he did say he was a dope fiend. He could have been strung out, not thinking right.
They were stabbed to death.
Now we're heading to death row. That's right, they get cats. I told y'all. Well, even a cat has a necklace. Man, oh man. Is that Princess Diana? Now the superintendent visits his cell block once a week, and that's what they're doing today, and he's actually very close to the inmates. He knows a lot about the individuals that's in this cell block, and he sits there and actually kicks it with them as well.
You can see Mr. Bear has an infatuation with one of England's most famous people.
She has been a lifelong love of mine since like 10, 11 years old when I saw her get married the first time to Charles. And I followed her all my life.
It was Princess Diana, man. This dude has a shrine to her. Unreal, man. You just never know what's going through a person's mind, what kind of stuff interests him. Wild to think, but yeah, this guy killed a mother and her daughter, so I could care less about this fool, but we're still gonna watch it. Hopefully he gets his boots smoked sooner than later.
Because of her heart, what she represents, she's just one of those people like Mother Teresa. That's my second love.
My heart and soul goes out to that cat. God, I can only imagine sitting up in there with that kook. Now, they're going to ask this inmate how they feel about having a close relationship with the superintendent, even though he's the one in charge and making sure that they die.
It's not actually Mr. Wilson's taking my life, so, it's the state of Indiana that's taking my life. He's a good guy. He's a fair person. He'll listen, he'll understand, and he'll exercise judgment on what he has to do fairly.
Me personally, though, I couldn't work the job of the superintendent. Making sure people die and pulling down the lever, pressing the button, whatever he does. I don't think there's an amount of money out there that could get me to do that job because there's just too many. I know the justice system and there's always room for error. And the last thing I want to think about before I go to bed is if the guy that we just killed was truly guilty. I'm sure this guy talks to some of these people on death row and might come to the conclusion in his head that they might be innocent. So me personally, I don't think I could do a job like this. Would y'all do it? Let's say for 80 grand a year?
I put myself on the path to put him in the position to do what he has to do. Again, affecting somebody else's life years later.
But this guy, man, he couldn't have asked for a better place to be. If he was in general population mainline, they'd end up killing this man. That's a fact, man. Ain't nobody gonna stand with anybody on the yard that killed a woman and her daughter. Nobody. Someone's gonna end up killing him. So, he's in the best spot that he could possibly dream of. But now we're traveling down to C Block. Seems like a situation took place where on their security cameras they seen a group of inmates dragging someone down the tier. Now the whole cell block's on lockdown behind this fight. And you know, inmates can't stand getting locked down for another person's actions. It's usually like 2 or 3 people getting into the fight, but they have to lock the whole place down, make sure it's secure until they're done with their investigations, and want to make sure nobody else was involved. But the inmate's about to break down a little bit of the atmosphere that he's living in right now.
People don't like it. I mean, people have their families coming up, and there's no way that they can notify their family and tell them not to come up to visit. Like right now, I've got a cousin, her stepson is in the hospital, had major surgery the other day. I don't know what happened. You know, there's no way for me to contact home. And so I don't know if he lived or died. You know, it was a life or death situation. But I have to sit here and I have to wait until I come off lockdown to find out what happened. I've been on stretches back in 90 or 91 where we was locked down for like 11 months straight.
Now, I've been on stretches like that. I had a cellmate, of course, but I was in this prison, man. It was so big that when they did their annual shakedowns, which is a shakedown of the whole facility, anywhere that the inmates have access to, they're going to shake it down, trying to find contraband, drugs, weapons, cell phones, stuff like that. Certain facilities will lock a prison down one part at a time, but usually they lock down the whole compound. And the prison I was in, like I said, it was so big that we were on lock for 3 months. Can you believe that? I don't know. I think something might have happened or something made it take a little longer. But man, I'll never forget that. Everybody started running out of canteen after like the first month. I made it all the way to the end, just about, me and my cellie. We ran out of everything except for the sausages, right? So we just started grilling the sausages on a number 2 pencil, eating them straight up. Then when those were gone for the next couple days for a little treat, we would have to whip up a ramen seasoning tea. I never want to go back to prison ever again. But he's right. You can't tell your family, hey, don't come for a visit, even though they might have driven 11 hours to see you. It doesn't matter. If you're on lockdown, they ain't going to see you. So, you know, I mean, what can you expect, though? You're in prison. This ain't the Motel 6.
Find something to do to keep you busy. You don't keep busy, you keep yourself occupied. You know, you might go crazy. You know, some guys do. You know, I'm lucky I've got a TV, got Rascal in there, so, you know, she helps me pass my time. I got my guitar. She's sitting at the bars now, so I think she wants out, get out on the range and run around.
That's why you're on lockdown, that unlucky black cat in the cell. I'd have to write a request form to get that unlucky stuff up out of there. I'd have been the guy on the top tier. Bro, ever since your black cat came into the block, we've been on lockdown all day. Either you're getting rid of it, or I'm getting rid of both of you. I would have been screaming back, it wasn't Rascal. Stop blaming Rascal. We're checking out tonight, though, so don't kill us. It seems like everybody has a cat in this cell block, man. They figured out the best way to handle them strays. One of these days, an inmate's gonna cook one of them janks on lock. And they're not gonna be giving cats away no more. But hopefully you enjoyed a closer look into the dark side of the state penitentiary.